What it do, family and friends? Welcome back to the Church of Black Power. So, I want to talk today about, and I know y'all hear the sound difference. Today's the first day that I'm actually recording in a new location, a new studio. So, it's going to make it a lot easier for me to do these shows. It's going to make it a lot easier for me to broadcast. I will start doing live shows soon enough, as well as live interviews and things as such. However, just bear with me. We're easing our way into it. Now, I want to speak about the pile of different so-called black feminists who have been coming out disrespecting our elder leaders who fought for them to even be here, who spoke against a lot of the situations that these women today have no issue benefiting from. It's becoming very apparent that the disdain for Black Americans is real. And the new black media has been speaking about this for a long time. But it's becoming very apparent to where the line in the sand has been drawn, per se. And you're able to not only see, but feel everything that they hate about us and everything that they want to be that bridge, that gatekeeper, everything they want us to fall behind them in, which is one of the situations for reparations. And in the next video, we're actually going to be speaking about that as well after I get everything set up, because like I said, I want that one to be a very, very detailed video. It's probably going to be one of the most important videos that I ever do on this page. And without giving it away, it's going to basically show you how basically everything that people use statistically against the black community is false for the most part. But I'm not going to jump ahead of this show, of this program. I'm going to do that on the next program. But I've been listening to a lot of people disrespect some of our elder greats, such as Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, such as Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Dr. Amos Wilson, and Dr. Nellie Fuller. I've been hearing a lot of nonsense coming from people who aren't really a part of this soil, who are descendants of people who didn't fight in their own country, but came here and got all the benefits that our elders fought for, that we still to this day have not received in its full effect. There are so many people who wants to downplay the achievements and accomplishments of Black Americans here, that they not only change the history of the storyline, they not only do they change the storyline, but they change the history in itself. So now you're hearing people going around saying that Martin Luther King was homophobic. You got people running around talking about Malcolm X was queer. All of these things that are just completely ludicrous, straight outrageous. But they do it to get a reaction. And they're getting a reaction. When you look at these people, You look at their social media pages and all that other stuff, you're seeing what? Their following level 9 times out of 10 going to be in the thousands, not small thousands like 2,000-3,000. No, it's going to be up there in the area somewhere about 20,000, 25,000, 30,000, if not 100,000 when you actually speak in the manner in which these people are speaking. And that's a fact. When you're an actual pro-black person, a pro-black content creator in any way, you get stifled, you get shut down, your pages get shut down left and right. You can barely break over, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 if you do make it to 10,000 people who are following you. Unless you're speaking against the grain, unless you're actually speaking against pro-black activity and pro-black people. And this is a fact. Now, when you listen to these people, the delusion is real. Period, point blank. The delusion is real. You've never really heard a person that actually makes sense. All you hear is these people trying to throw labels. And when I say throw labels, I mean throw anything to the wall that will stick. And I got to make sure people ask themselves a question. Major question. 1, why are these tethers so passionate about tearing down black leaders when we have more than enough right now for them to bash on who are not doing their jobs? But the leaders who actually got out there and did their jobs, spoke the truth, wasn't afraid to bring up white supremacy, white power in itself, wasn't afraid to bring up none of these things, they're now being made the enemy. And as Dr. Neely Fuller Jr. said the best, if you don't understand what white supremacy is, how it works, how it moves, then everything that you think that you know will confuse you. And you have these so-called black feminists taking on the role of these white supremacists and then turning around and say, I'm actually pro-black. I'm actually pro-black. But spewing the same nonsense as the white supremacists have been spewing the same rhetoric as these white feminists, and actually pushing it steps further by making us the most dangerous people on the planet, especially when it comes to men, when we know historically that's incorrect. When we know historically that is incorrect. So why is it so important for them? I don't understand it. Why is it so important for them to knock down our legends, the people that we stand on, when there are more than enough political people in the political spectrum today who are not doing their jobs for black Americans that they can be speaking against? You have to ask that question. And then the second question I would want to ask is, why is it so important for everyone to claim that black Americans have no culture? Why is it so important for everyone, including black immigrants, to say that black Americans have no culture? Because the replacement of those cultures are real. You have everybody around the world influenced by black Americans and the things that we create here. And that's a fact. When you look at our history and our culture, you see a history of fighters. You see a history of people who never really gave up. And we spoke about this several times. Many people in the black media have spoken about this several times over. Our history compared to the history of people who come here to actually benefit from our history is more amazing than anybody else's that come here to benefit from our history, or else they would stayed where they are and they would have benefited from their history. They would benefit from their culture there in that point in that time. It wouldn't even be necessary for them to be here. But because opportunity was created, everyone are opportunists. And that's one of the reasons why I say the black community do not have any allies whatsoever. All allies lie, because they're only your ally until your interests don't align. Until they get what they can get out of you and go. Until they can use you as the front face to their agenda. And once they get that agenda through, then they go. They're gone. And this is one of the things that you're seeing across the board with anyone, not just black immigrants, any immigrant and anybody who comes to the black community claiming to be an ally. Any group, A, B, C, D, E, F, Gs, Black Lives Matter, any of them, and everyone. All allies lie until they get what they want out of the black community, and then they dip. So when it comes to these situations, and I seen a video, a clip of a podcast where they were talking about how foundational Black Americans, ADOS, whatever you want to call yourself, how we believe that people who look like them, black immigrants, are taking our jobs and stuff like that. And the guy was like, well, you got to go talk to the government about that, this, that, and the third. But yet, he says all of that, trying to make us look like we're xenophobic and all this other stuff, when the fact of the matter is, we are. We're doing exactly what he said we should be doing. We're addressing it with the government. We're making sure that people know that we're our own separate entity. We might have a connection, but we are not the same people. And we have different interests that should be addressed because we are actually the builders of this country. And a debt is owed to us for doing so. So when he said you should be attacking or going after the government, we're absolutely doing that as well. But we're absolutely correcting people such as him when they're making it seem as if they have no hand in the situation, when the truth of the matter is, it's not about whether you have a hand in it. It's about the way that you treat Black Americans when you come here. You have an anti-Black racism about yourself for Black Americans. And you show it. In everything that you do and everything that you say, you may sit here and kiki and hee in a Black American's face. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of you feel like nothing's owed to Black Americans. And that's something else that's going to be touched on the next broadcast. Like I said, it's going to be a very important one. Because the truth of the matter is this. There are a lot of people who vote in the way of the Republican in any situation anyway. And they vote in the way of the Democrat in any situation anyway. But mainly they vote when it's against Black interest. So when it's the Republicans doing something that is actually, well, really, that never happens. But for example, if it's Republicans trying to pass something that's going to help Black Americans, everybody's going to get on code, and they're going to start voting all the Democratic situation in that they need in order to make sure it doesn't happen. And in turn, if the Democrats was to do the same thing, guess what? You're going to have all these other groups voting Republican in order to make sure it doesn't happen for the black community. These are just things that's happened over history. This is a historical fact. We can see right now that Republicans get a lot more of the Asian and Latino votes than they get from black Americans, because black Americans is the only people that really vote Democrat to the heights of 80%, 90 percentile. But these same people that come here off the backs of our ancestors then come here and vote against their own interests in order to stick it to black folk. What was it? The Asian boy, right, who went and became the face of a white supremacist movement to remove affirmative action, even though affirmative action benefited white women overall, then Asians, then all other ethnic groups, and lastly, benefited the people it was supposed to benefit it, because it really never benefited us. 1 out of every 3 black Americans on college campuses to this day, today, 1 out of every 3 is black American. So that means that the black immigrant is literally benefiting 2 times over than the person that the actual bill was made for. Now, is that their fault? No. But it is a responsibility to be able to address it, recognize it, and analyze why that is. See, these type of people will make it seem like we're the ones being unreasonable. We're being xenophobic. We're being anti-black, but claiming to be pro-black. When the truth of the matter is, we've been saying the same thing. We've been trying to, and we've been trying our hardest to connect with people who don't really want to rock with us. And it's something that we're no longer just brushing off. We're not hiding the truth. We're just speaking our truth because our interest demands that we speak our truth. Our interests demand that we be who we are and stand on the square that we stand on, because if we don't do it, no one's going to do it. But everybody will use the black American struggle in order to benefit their own community, while pushing those same people who actually went through that struggle, whose ancestors actually lived that struggle, to the side in order to give amenities to everyone else who came here for that opportunity that they talk stuff about those leaders who provided it. When they talk stuff about the people who made sure that those things were available. The disrespect must stop. Now, I don't have a problem with working with anybody, collaborating with anybody when it comes down to getting things done. However, if we're only getting things done for one community over another, then why are we using my community to do that? The black community is no longer anybody's stepping stone. The black community is no longer anybody's footstool. And I don't care who takes that role. It won't be us anymore. Period, point and blank. Period, point and black. Because at the end of the day, a debt is owed, and they're going to pay what they owe. And that means anyone in the country, everyone in the country, the debt is owed. And you're now a part of a country that owes that debt. You've never had the ability to say, well, hey, I don't want to put no money towards the Top Hat community. I don't want my taxes going towards these migrants that are coming here illegally. Well, you could say it, but it doesn't matter because it happens anyway. So we're at a point right now where it's, like I said, the land has a big old line in it. And you going to stay on that side of the land with that nonsense? Or you going to step on over to the right part of the world and start understanding what really it shouldn't need to be understood? Because you're seeing it with your own eyes. You're hearing it with your own ears. More people are being willing to align themselves with white supremacist talking points and thoughts, movements, and actions. But then they turn around and say they speak for Black Americans. This is where we're at. This is where we're at. If you haven't done it already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit that bell, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this situation of people feeling the necessary need, the passion in their loins to go after every elder legend that we have and try to make them out to be some sort of title, some sort of name, whether being queer or being homophobic, trying their hardest to make history about everyone else, but who is actually about. Much love, family. Like I said, bear with me, please. The show is going to be changing dramatically. The broadcast is going to be changing dramatically. And once we get through this change, trust me when I say, it'll be a whole lot easier for me. But much love to you guys. Peace.